This review contains spoilers. Female Loki, let's call her Floki, takes out some time cops. A lot of blah blah blah, then a little bit Pompeii, ha 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 ha, stupid people die, ha 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 ha, and then Floki beats the shit out of Bloki, and Bloki means bollocks Loki, since he isn't our Loki, and bombs the sacred timeline and flees with Floki. Let's jump into the review, shall we? Loki takes the same route as the Nevers. It begins with something, in between is nothing, and at the end is again something, which is not a good sign. And watch my reviews of the Nevers to learn how this turned out. Let's start with the portal doors, because we don't have any rules when it comes to this. Can you open them everywhere? What would happen to a person who stands in the place when a portal opens? These questions wouldn't be necessary if you have to make them on a wall, like a door. The 4 time cops are coming to 9085 to find Floki. One of them has this smartphone thing on her suit. Would it not make more sense to have it in your hand, but is able to put it back on the suit? I mean, look how she scans the area. It looks stupid and unpractical. You have scanners in Star Trek as well, and they can put it away if they have no need for it. Why doing this so stupid? So they go into a tent. One of them says there is no Nexus energy yet, which would mean that there is no event which would make a new branch. So how did they come to the idea to search here for Floki? Then an announcement starts, which tells them and us that a great battle will start soon, and the prize is their princess. Shall this mean the fight here will be great? Shall Floki be the princess? Will Floki be a Disney princess? Let us make Floki a princess for Disney. Yay! After the announcement, it starts to play I Need a Hero. It makes me think of the end of Shrek 2. Which was cool and fit perfectly the story and the images you have seen in the movie. Here is it a totally miss. It rather emphasizes how bad the scene is instead of elevating it. And I also think about what they wanna say with this song. That Floki is the hero and or doesn't need a hero because she can save herself. Floki touches Dreadlock's girl on her temple, and this isn't an euphemism for something sexy. And she turns against her fellow colleagues. She takes out number 1 from behind, breaking his neck. Then dumb girl colleague turns around and asks like an idiot, Commander? She saw the guy on the floor and she doesn't act. She just stands there and does nothing. Then Dreadlock's girl takes a lance and attacks Dumb Girl, and she couldn't act to defend herself. And then after this she turns to Dumb Guy, who also just stood there and did nothing. Well, he let himself hit without defending himself, so yeah, he did something. I hear you saying, bad review, you underrated and smart YouTuber. She surprised them and were in shock. But my smart fear, and you are smart because you watch this video. These people are a task force and are surely very well trained. Then they had to deal with many Lokis already and surely with other crazy stuff. I mean, we talk about the MCU. Crazy is the norm in this universe. And these people are even more incapable than stormtroopers. Bloki speaks with Holoclock and she asks Bloki questions like what happens when a Nexus event branches and passes the red line. If this happens, it is impossible to reset the timeline anymore. Why not? What makes a timeline different when it passes the red line? They just say it. And Holoclock adds that would lead to the destruction of the timeline and the collapse of reality as we know it. So we are getting a ticking clock time mechanic without further explanation and an end of reality. Oh, sorry, collapse of reality warning. I guess this has to do with the timeline war which we heard in episode 1, but I'm not sure. Mobius briefs everyone and they insult Loki a lot. After the briefing they go to the tent in 1985. Is nobody surprised and kind of irritated that these people are coming out of a wonder door? On their way to the tent, Loki asks why they don't travel right before the attack, and thank you Loki, I had the same question. But Mobius has an explanation for us. That Nexus events destabilized the time flow, and that this branch is still changing and growing. I don't get it. The change happened already, so it makes sense that this branch has its full outcome, especially if they show us time as something linear. And how does it make a new branch anyways? This should change the original timeline and not making a new branch. Loki calls the explanations stuff he gets from the TVA propaganda. So it could mean that everything we learn from the members of the TVA is just their ideology, which would explain the part with these bombs, because for them we get also an exposition done and they get used in a different way at the end of the episode. And it's in general very boring how they get informations, which by the way sounds as it was taken from Wikipedia. Answers and questions. Very exciting. Loki reads a file about the destruction of Asgard. In the file next to casualties is written 9719 and next to it entire civilization annihilated. Asgard had only 9719 people? What is with the Asgardians on Earth? And I think that organization like the TVA would be aware of the opportunity to hide in an apocalypse. And speaking of apocalypse, in Heaven Hills, Alabama live more people than in Asgard on the whole planet. One little town in Alabama, more people. In the writer's room. Hey, you know what would be funny? No. If he would get the attention of all the dying people by releasing animals and screaming like an idiot. Wow, this is gold. And we can let him speak in Latin as well. Yes. And why is Mobius afraid to make a branch in the Pompeii scene? He can reset it if Loki would be wrong with his theory. So this makes not a lot of sense. Back to the hiding in an apocalyptic event. Mobius talks with Boss Judge and he wants to have a fully armed task force to check out a place. He says that Floki could go back to this place and time over and over again, but that wouldn't be possible. If Floki hides there and the place gets destroyed and Floki goes back again before it gets destroyed, then Floki would meet Floki, because Floki was in this place at this time. So this doesn't make sense. So Mobius gets his task force and Loki is a part of this. Mobius gives him 2 daggers, which he had in his locker. That seems to be random. But don't worry, Fat Lady is here to take them away. She just takes them. Very sharp weapons with 2 sharp edges, and she just takes them. Doesn't even care if she could cut him. Then they have a briefing. Why does only one person have a time reset bomb? What if they get separated? What if he gets killed without anyone else noticing it? They go after Floki. Why do they not have the portals in the building? Especially if you think that this place will be destroyed very soon through freaking nature. No, don't answer it. I know it. For a wet joke. Ha ha ha. The writers are so smart and they know how to use Blokey's abilities. You know this when Fat Lady asks, "What was that?" Next question would be, why do the TVA not use guns, or rather like phasers, like in Star Trek or something like this? Melee weapons are not really that sophisticated. Everyone with a freaking gun could easily kill a person from the TVA before they get even close to hit anyone. I mean, this looks ridiculous. So, Blokey gets beaten up by a regular man? The MCU for you. Blokey uses his power to get a cleaner. Do you remember the first Avenger movie in which man had to kneel in front of him? No, that's not Loki, it's Blokey for you. And I guess I don't have to ask why the bombs are making branches instead of changing the future, do I? The only thing good or positive I can say is when the bombing of the timeline happens, that it's not just Earth but other planets as well. But Earth is still a main target for some reason. So, this was my review of episode 2. What did you think about this episode? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. You can also follow me on Twitter. You find the link in the description box down below. Thank you for watching. Have a nice one. You take care. See ya.